Tainted Grail Conquest is a complex deck-builder roguelike RPG that just landed its full 1.0 release, so the devs at Awakened Realms Digital hit me up to make them a class breakdown guide. This video is sponsored by them, and if Tainted Grail Conquest looks like your kind of thing, use that link I have in the video description to head over to its Steam page. This is a pretty tough but rewarding dark fantasy RPG, so you'll need to master at least one of the 9 character classes, being the Apostate, the Sentinel, the Zealot, the Blood Mage, the Summoner, the Necromancer, the Pathfinder, the Wyrdhunter, and the Berserker. As of the new 1.0 progression system, you will need to work towards unlocking some of those classes as you play through the campaign, and they do all play quite a bit differently from each other, so let's just get right on into this breakdown of them all. First up are the Watchers of Tuathan faction, who have unique maneuver cards that flip over to change their effects. The Apostate class heavily focuses on that card flipping, dealing damage with arrows, and manipulating the armor values of themselves and enemies. The Apostate's passive ability allows them to keep the cards they have flipped in their hand after activation, and it also allows them to draw an extra card after playing 2 maneuvers, the blue-colored cards that are double-sided. The Apostate also starts every turn of combat with the Idea card, which makes the next blue card cost no energy. However, this card flips over to turn into Stunning Idea, which discards all the blue cards in your hand to reduce the enemy's armor values depending on how many cards are discarded. This class's ultimate ability gains charges every time you flip a card, which you'll be doing often. Upon activation, this flips over all your blue cards, and the higher your ultimate meter is filled, the more percentage damage increase you'll also gain during that turn, plus 100% more for each blue card in your hand. Instead of using the ultimate meter for this, the Apostate, just like the other 2 classes in this faction, can consume some of their meter's charge to play quiver cards, which draw a collection of arrows. Overall, the Apostate is one of the trickiest classes to start out as, with a somewhat high skill ceiling, but for those courageous enough to harness its double-edged cards, it can be a super hard-hitting class. Next is the Sentinel, who greatly benefits from utilizing different arrow types in conjunction with their bow-wielding phantom friend. Thanks to the Sentinel's unique passive skill, every time they use a arrow card, the phantom will also fire on the target for 50% of the damage value. Using arrows is also what charges this class's ultimate ability, which uses your phantoms to fire a huge barrage of arrows at all targets the higher the meter is. The Sentinel starts every turn of combat with the Phantom's Aid Quiver card, which draws a Shadow Shot arrow card which deals damage and reduces the enemy's armor. This class and the next also use the blue-colored maneuver cards that flip, just like the previous class. However, these will go to the bottom of the deck after use, making you plan a bit more in the long term. However, the Sentinel is still a super great arrow slinging class thanks to its incredibly helpful phantoms, which really assist with piling on that extra damage. Next is the Zealot, who turns unutilized cards into powerful elemental arrows. Every card this class discards or just doesn't use in between turns gets used to charge up their ultimate ability. When used, it will pull one of 3 elemental arrow types, being either Fire Shot, which deals damage and reduces enemies' armor, Water Shot, which deals damage and lessens the enemy's damage, or the Air Shot, which just deals a higher amount of raw damage. This class's passive ability gives them a 25% damage boost to the following next attack after they play either a Quiver card or a Maneuver card. Also, the Zealot starts every turn with the Aimed Shot card, which deals a high amount of damage at the cost of 2 energy. Overall, the Zealot is probably the most straightforward class for this higher complexity faction, but that definitely doesn't mean it's lacking in DPS or survivability at all. Next is the Moonring faction, which are the caster/minion masters in Tainted Grail. Each of the 3 variants get to choose between 3 different passives, which dictates what minion they will start each battle with. The Golems are great at absorbing damage for you, and the other 2 will focus on dealing damage and or reducing enemy armor. The first of the 3 Moonring is the Blood Mage, which uses its own HP to summon and promote its minions to higher tiers. Once a minion promotes past level 4 during battle, it will initiate its Overcharge ability, which pops a very potent effect depending on the minion type, but this will destroy them. Also, the Blood Mage starts every turn with the Blood Preparation card, which can be used to draw a guaranteed summonable minion at the cost of your own HP. The Blood Mage's ultimate ability charges up when you offer your health, which lets you overcharge a minion at your will. The higher you let your ultimate meter fill, the more percentage this will amplify the minion's overcharge ability up to 400%, which can lead to some very destructive effects if you use this at a full charge on a level 4 minion. Overall, the Blood Mage can be a high-risk, high-reward class that is all about summoning a bloody army of minions and waiting to sacrifice them at the perfect time to send them off in a glorious display of carnage. Next, we have the Summoner, which is the complete opposite of the Blood Mage, focusing on building up a long-lasting, high-level minion army. Although the Summoner's minions will be more useful for a longer period of time, the downside is that the Summoner is directly linked to its minions, taking a percent of damage that the minions take, more so the higher level the minion is. The Summoner class starts every turn with the activation card, costing 0 energy, which lets you activate one of your minions. The Summoner's ultimate ability charges up by activating minions, and lets you quickly level up a minion up to 3 levels all at once if you fully charge up the meter before using it. Overall, the Summoner can build up a ridiculously large and powerful legion of minions, but you will need to offset the regular damage you absorb from them with healing items or frequent use of barrier cards that protect your health meter. Then lastly, for the Moonring faction, we have the Necromancer. This class summons minions at a higher starting level, de-leveling each turn, which damages the Necro each time they do so. However, the Necromancer can sacrifice its minions to turn them into ethereal form, which alters the minions' abilities. The higher level they are when they're sacrificed, the longer they will last in ethereal form. The Necromancer starts every turn with last activation, which activates a minion and sacrifices them, sending them into their ethereal form. Also, after killing an enemy, the Necromancer gets a free Ghoul card, which can be played the next turn. The Necromancer's ultimate charges when a living creature dies, which then allows you to change into Lich form, sacrificing all minions when doing so. In Lich form, you get 1 turn of playing super powerful new cards that can greatly debuff or damage the enemy or provide buffs for the Necro. Overall, the Necromancer requires a bit more knowledge of your deck, needing to master the living and ethereal form of your minions, but its unique mixture of both of those and its powerful Lich form make it a devastating character class once you get the hang of it. The last main faction in Tainted Grail are the Children of Morrigan, which are the lone melee warriors of the bunch. First is the Pathfinder, which focuses on avoiding hits by blocking to power up its outgoing damage. This is achieved thanks to its passive ability, which activates Focused if you take no damage during your turn. Focused will give you a percentage buff to your damage for that turn and can stack if you keep avoiding taking a hit. The Pathfinder starts each turn with an Insight card, which lets you use 1 energy to duplicate the next stance card you play, like blocking. Playing stance cards is what charges the Pathfinder's ultimate ability, which allows you to activate it to either draw an extra card, or if you wait till it's fully charged, also add up to 2 of the energy resource, allowing you to play more cards that turn. Overall, the Pathfinder is a fairly safe, tanky class that can become a melee powerhouse if you're skilled at negating oncoming damage. Next is the Wyrdhunter, which excels at raw damage and leaving the enemy vulnerable to do even more. The Wyrdhunter's passive leaves a charge of Hunter's Mark on an enemy each time they strike them, building up to inflicting vulnerable once it reaches 4 marks. Vulnerable will make the enemy take 100% more damage while it's active. Also, the Wyrdhunter starts every turn with Broad Reach, letting you consume 1 energy to give 100% more damage to your next attack. Combine that with Vulnerable and you'll be stacking damage gain just like how this class loves. Each time the Wyrdhunter deals damage, it provides 1 charge to its ultimate ability. This ultimate is a singular large strike that deals more damage the higher you charge up its meter. Overall, the Wyrdhunter is a pretty straightforward DPS focused class, and once you master combining all of its percentage increases during battle, you will start seeing those enemy health bars quickly delete. Lastly, for the Children of Morrigan is the Berserker. This class's damaging cards are powered up the less HP the Berserker has. The Berserker's passive ability provides 1 extra energy to play cards whenever it's below 50% health, which is where this class likes to be. The Berserker starts every turn with the Fortify card, which uses 1 energy to give itself 25 armor till the end of the turn, and Retaliate, which reflects some damage back to the attacker. Each time this class takes damage, it provides 1 charge to its ultimate ability, Lifesteal. Depending on how high this meter is when you activate it, the more amount of HP you'll lifesteal from enemies when you damage them. This is the Berserker's #1 way to avoid the regular looming threat of death. Overall, the Berserker is the riskiest melee class of the bunch, but honestly, who needs health when raw damage conquers all? That's it, that was a super quick overview of all 9 of the playable classes in Tainted Grail Conquest. If you're in the mood for a challenging card RPG, or just the fact that you made it this far into the video, you should probably use that link in the description to head over to grab Tainted Grail on Steam to celebrate its 1.0 release. A big thanks to Awaken Realms Digital for shooting this my way, I'm enjoying it, and for sponsoring today's video. As always, this has been Alex from Boomstick Gaming, and thanks for checking this out.